What is up, guys? James here. Now, when it comes to getting to know White Forest, Naturia, Traptrix, someone from the YouTube comments the other day was generously curious about how to get this deck working. So, as you can see, three different archetypes, and then you got yourself the traps. So, with Mantis and Mole Cricket being your real normal summons, because Mantis gets you any Traptrix monster in terms of searching, and then Cricket can help you facilitate those plays. Now, the true question is what to start? That is a good question. If working with the Naturia lines, this is basically instantaneous Naturia Beast like no tomorrow. Otherwise, it's like if you start with the Traptrix, this is literal Traptrix route. And of course, White Forest can just like outright bridge in terms of Traptrix, or you could just have Naturia bridge into Traptrix and or White Forest. But otherwise, this deck does it all. So we're going to start with the Naturia lines being real normal of Cricket. Tribute. We're going to grab Naturia Camellia. And Camellia is your foolish barrier of Naturias. So we toss out Tree. And Tree says get a Naturia card from deck to hand. Most cases, Blessing. Blessing. To special a Naturia. Bring back Mole Cricket. And that's instantaneous Naturia Beast. Now, you can argue about having Mole Cricket being brought back from grave to field if you want, but at the same time, we are going to leave the open space off from the main monster zone, which is the true purpose of this. So we're going to leave Cricket in the graveyard for now. And then to work with the White Forest lines, most cases, because we are going first. Oh, I don't know. Let's say we don't need the Imperm. LZ searched. Well, specials herself first. And then you basically search to be specific somewhere between Rusia and or LZ as Amina. And according to the real normal being Cricket, most cases you want Rusia. Rusia for the free special, and because this is the only trap you have in your hand, we opted not to use Rusia's effect because we are going to synchro summon straight into Ursula, who has the ability to, upon special summon, you can send one spell trap from your hand or field to the graveyard to search you any White Forest card or any light spellcaster. So most cases, if you want to get all too tickle your fancy, you can do Witch for the sake of having LZ as Amina searched. So that way, you get to keep on having it consistent. But yes, Droll is obviously a card and you're being accepted to that. So let's just obviously say that Droll's not there right now in terms of solo mode purposes. So Witch getting LZ as Amina, and because Witch is being played, that means no extra deck dark monsters for you to summon. So if you noticed, the whole entire extra deck has no darks, so you're absolutely fine from the no dark restriction. So LZ as Amina, free summon. Synchro into Diabell. LZ as Amina search. And then Diabell, it's basically depends on what your spell/trap of choice. You can just basically pick anything you want out of this. But for the sake of the concept in terms of having either negates and or interruptions, we are actually going to bring back the Blessing to be specific. And as Amina getting Susurrus. Now, Naturia Blessing, we are actually going to bring back Camellia, and then Rusia, returning Ursula to summon herself. And then in this composition, turn these 2 level 4s into Traptrix Pinguicula. And this is the bridge in terms of working with Traptrix monsters. Pinguicula. And it doesn't matter which one that we are going to detach to be specific, but most cases, because we got a white forest on board, your best bet is to detach Rusia. But at the end of the day, that Pinguicula is going to get used up as material anyway. So, grabbing Arachnocampa, because turn Pinguicula into Sarah, Arachnocampa for the free special, and then Sarah going to help you straight up set a whole normal trap of choice. Most cases, we'll do time space. And then, any leftover legal targets? Good question. In this position, you can Susurrus if you want, in terms of returning Diabel for the sake of Rusia. But I honestly find that a pretty good composition to begin with, because in this end board setup, as I'm planning to end the turn, unlimited spell negate. Once a trap triggers, Sarah will e-telly a Traptrix, and then if for whatever the reason you have any leftover targets in terms of Traptrix or whole normal traps, this is where Sarah is going to straight up set another trap. Arachnocampa shields your set cards from being destroyed once, and then you also got Susurrus, whether if you want to activate this for keep on extending or set to have Arachnocampa to protect it. So in most cases, we're going to set it, and this is basically your turn 1 board setup going first. Upstarts, we will Naturia Beast that. And then in this position is where we do a little tag in, tag outs. LZ comes back to hand. And then on the same end phase, we'll have Susurrus return to Rusia to summon out LZ Azamina to make sure Rusia will get that extension on follow-up. And would you look at that? Duster being Drew. So there you go. And that is Traptrix Sarah at instant speed because normal trap triggers. So most cases, we'll have Mermelio out, mandatory trigger, just so that Sarah is going to straight up set a whole normal trap being Holotea, and then it's basically simplified game state in this position because this deck has too many bridges in any capacity. So we will free special the Rusia, send a Holotea, so that way we got the extension, and we drew into Chalice, so not so much out of it. And then in this position, we will XZ into Alamaris, and then Alamaris bridge the Traptrix back to Naturia's, and then you basically foolish any Naturia monster you want, to be specific, but most cases for the purposes, toss out Sunflower. And then it's basically you're off to the races. You're able to capitalize on the offensive maneuvers. So most cases, no real normal summon yet. And we do indeed have a spell/trap by all means. So grab another LZ because you never know that you always need a second copy to back it up. Holotea for extension. Dianea to special. Reset button, the floodgate, and as you see from this deck has so much capabilities in terms of offensive and defensive setups, so that way you are able to apply pressure to your opponent, especially if for whatever the reason you can't outright destroy your opponent like this. You can always have your Rafflesia protecting your Traptrix from battles or card effects, or even anti-target outside of Rafflesia as well, which is like pretty sick and it's pretty cool. And then to finish off strong, back to the White Forest lines we go. And then you can just basically grab anything you want out of it. So in most cases, let's say the Sacred Tree. And if the damage is correct, this is exactly 8,000 on the spot, and this is lethal. Now let's see if we can work with another combo in terms of either going first or second. Okay, cool. So we end up going second. And based off from this hand, Sylvie is no problem. So we're just gonna let the opponent do whatever. And to imagine ourselves, we drew the one-of Duster, so good for us. And because this is solo mode, just for the funsies, let's say we draw another card. So there we go. So with this starting hand now, sure, like you can get your draw card in. Now, how to work with this new and improved hand going second is you start off with Sylvie. We are going to grab the field spell to be specifically because the one of the missing targets in terms of we need to get things going would be OG LZ. So most cases, OG LZ, send the field spell, summon herself, getting LZ as a Mina because apparently we hard opened or drew into the Rusia. So summon herself, LZ as a Mina, summon herself, and then in this concept, Rusia will send Chalice because, you know, apparently we somehow hard opened the Susurus. So most cases, synchro up into Ursula, and we are actually going to grab in this position Azamina Apes for the sake of compulsing, and Susurus to reset. And then, because we're going second, synchro up to Diabell. Diabell in this position. Again, we can grab anything we want out of this, but most cases, for the purposes, let's say, the White Force Field spell. Rusia, return the Ursula to bring herself back. The 2 White Forest monsters bridge into Traptrix, and given the fact that we did indeed real normal from earlier on, which was Sylvie, so most cases, Pinguicula, we used Rusia's graveyard effect, so most cases that'll be Sylvie for the detach. And in this position, you can get whichever one you want in terms of Traptrix. For the extension purposes, you can pick up Vesiculo for the sake of returning apes. Otherwise, well, sending apes. Otherwise, getting Arachno Campa means you're pretty much locked into plants and or insects out of the extra. So in most cases, we'll do Vesiculo. Pinguicula. Turn it into Sarah. And then we'll set the trap. Vesiculo. Send the Azamina Apes to summon. And then this unique interaction is where Azamina Apes can reset button itself because Vesiculo sent the apes as part of cost, and you also got Sarah to straight up set a whole normal trap. So let's go do that right away. And then it's basically, you can pick whichever one you want in terms of interrupting them. So in most cases, we'll do Holotea for the sake of the next follow-up. And then in that spot, this is where you pretty much have to apply pressure to your opponent. So most cases, we are going to leave the field like this, so that way we want to pretty much interrupt on opponent's turn as much as we could. So in most cases, we got Apes, return to 1, Sarah, to E-Telly, a Traptrix, Mandatory Myrmilio, kill, sure, yeah, by all means. And then we also got Diabell to have Holotea being sent to the graveyard so we can extend. Most cases, we'll do Ursula because it'll be our turn again coming soon. And you also got so much interactions to work with. Sarah, Ursula sending Susurus, and then OGLZ, back to hand she goes. And then Susurus, reset button. And as you can see, based off from how much cards we got on board and in hand, that's basically free advantage. And as you can see, this is way over lethal, so this is pretty much game from there. Deck profile for you guys. starting with the non-engine first. 2 Droll, Feather Duster, Tactics Talent, Tactics Thrust, 2 Forbidden Chalice, 2 Cosmic Cyclone, Call by the Grave, Blizzard, 3 Infinite Impermanence. Also, I believe this deck also plays 45 cards, as you see, because I wanted to fit in 3 different archetypes along with the room for non-engine. So it's all good from there. So that's all of my non-engine to work with. For the Naturias, 3 Mole Crickets, 1 Vayne, Sunflower, Horn Needle, Camellia, Bamboo Shoot, 3 Naturia Blessing, and 1 Sacred Tree. For the White Forest, 2 OG LZ, 1 LZ Azamina, 2 Sylvie, 1 Rusia, Witch of the White Forest, Susurrus of the Sinful Spoils, Woes, Azamina Apes. And then the Traptrix lineup: Myrmilio, Dionea, Mantis, Vesiculo, Arachnocampa, and then the whole normal traps: Time Space, Floodgate, just 1. They both straight up soft to everybody else. The reason why you play 1, it's because Dionea's special summon ability is to reset button a whole normal trap, and Vesiculo states if you control no cards in your spell trap zone, you can banish this to reset button, target, and reset button 1 whole normal trap. And thus, this is basically extra copies of Time Space and Floodgate. Playing extras is not necessary. And then the 2 Holotea. Extra that consists of Naturia Beast, Naturia Barkion, and then for the White Forest, Diabelle, Ursula, Silvera, and then Zapper Shrimp. You can either A, hard synchro summon this guy via Naturia Vayne being a tuner and Mole Cricket, or even Vayne with Droll, given the fact that if you have no other opportune plays for Shrimp, or B, you can send a spell trap from hand or field to the graveyard for the sake of Zapper Shrimp via Diabelle. And then Traptrix, Rafflesia, Alamaris, Pinguicula, Sarah, Teleria, Adipus. And then for my flex spots, Geonator, Transverser, also the Earth Charmer, Immovable, and Drill Driver, Vespinato. And this has been James Polk showing off the White Forest Naturia Traptrix combo lines. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share, and hit that notification bell to keep yourself constantly updated, and I shall catch you guys next time.